Shalom. Giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Bashim Shai Brakatham to you, hopefully. This is just going to be a short video based off this dream that I had. Now, I'm not typically one to get dreams, but out over the past 3-4 weeks, the Lord has been giving me some pretty vivid dreams, and the one in particular that I just had last night, I still kind of remember going into the MOTB. All right, but real quick, I'm gonna read this in Joel 2:28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. All right, and it's crazy because where it's like I just said here, the Lord is going to pour his spirit upon all flesh, so from Israelites to even other nations having these dreams. And a lot of people have been having these dreams, and even more so dreams centered around the MOTB. All right. And like I said, it's crazy because I don't really get dreams, but over the past weeks and whatnot, man, I've been getting these dreams, and I just thought I'd share this one again pertaining to the MOTB. Because it was pretty vivid. So nevertheless, just try to get to the good point. The good stuff as far as the dream. Because I remember. Because real quick, let me get this. The Spirit brings all things together. Because I was trying to find this precept when I last Friday when I went out to the highways and hedges, I couldn't find it, but nevertheless, here in 2nd Ezra chapter 9, because when that MOTB comes around, all hell is really going to be breaking loose. In so much that, like the scriptures say, that the Lord would have to speed the days up for the elect's sake. All right, because things are happening now rather quickly, but things are going to be sped up even more when that MOTB is mandated. And I've said this before, and just speaking as a man, because with all this talk of the CBDCs, and them coming out with this Fed now, it was just on my spirit because when they come out with those CBDCs, or however they print it, whatever they name it, whatever they call it, I just think, again, speaking as a man, that it could very well be the MOTB, just for the simple fact that you got these stores now, mainly I think it was the Panera Bread, coming out with these palm readers. And I mean, and there's a lot of information as far as the MOTB. All right. As far as these biometrics and these implantable things, these implantable devices. All right. Out of nowhere, they're just, all of a sudden talking about these things as far as these implantable devices. So, like I said, now that you got these different stores coming out with these different palm readers and things of that nature, like I said, just speaking as a man, I think that with these CBDCs, or however they present it, or whatever they want to call it, however they want to package it up, it could very well be the MOTB. So with that being said, I'm gonna just get this real quick. In 2nd Ezra chapter 9, in verse 20, he says, "So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were come into it." All right. And tying this into the MOTB, All right, because again, that's the end game for Esau Edom. All right, is to have everyone sea-hipped. You see, so when this thing comes around again, there's going to be a lot of peril, a lot of danger. It's going to be real dangerous times. It's going to be real bad, and so much like I quoted, how the Lord is going to have to really speed the days up for the elect's sake. Because those devices, like I said, that MOTB, that's the end game for these wicked elites, is to see-hip everyone. You see, so this is going to be a time period where you're going to have a lot of, like I said, man, peril, turmoil. I remember they were talking about towards the last couple of months of 2022, just last year, about these protests, possible protests and uproars of the people and things of that nature. But they were talking about how that we could very well see these protests, because I forgot what it was exactly, but they were predicting, which, I mean, it just goes to show you how all this is assigned by the elites. They're setting all this up, all right? Because as I always say, they're trying to get the people to react a certain way so that they can come in with the solution. They can come in, it justifies them in bringing in the solution, bringing in the order. All right? Because with these protests, like I said, they were expecting these protests to take place towards the last few months of 2020. But then they said, well, maybe because it was too cold, it was in the winter, so now they were saying that now we could see these protests come this summer. All right, which, like I said, Esau, he controls all this because he's orchestrating all this through the Spirit of the Lord. All right, because you got this with the talks of Trump and his indictment, and the talk of civil war and things of that nature. Well, that's one of the things that's going to be going on out here. All right, which is why it's going to be very dangerous, because of all the protests and uproars, neighbor against neighbor, people killing each other. And that was one of the things that took place in the dream, because I remember in the dream it was a type of setting where people were basically walking around because I don't remember exactly. It's still pretty vivid, but I don't remember detail to detail. But the best way that I could put it, it was some type of form of because you got the credit card, where you can pay for everything, right? You got the Apple Pay, the Touch Pay, and all that stuff. Well, it was something along the lines of, it was some type of like wristband or something, some type of wearable device, and this was the new normal. This was common, and people were walking around paying for their groceries and things of that nature, right? And as I've been emphasizing through the Spirit lately on how the scriptures emphasize the sudden destruction, all right, because in the dream, I remember it went from that people, it was just a business as usual, all right, people walking around with these wearable devices and being able to pay for groceries, right? But with that being said, because this is something that wasn't like mandated to the point where everyone had to have these implantable devices. It's kind of like today where you see people mostly walking around with their credit cards and Apple Pays and stuff like that. But nevertheless, you still have people that walk around with cash. They still pay with cash and stuff like that. So it was something like similar to that. People, the majority of the people they had this wearable device to where they could pay and stuff like that. But you had the the few of the bunch, they didn't, they still had the credit cards and things of that nature. Well, I remember in the dream, I remember being in the store, and you know, and luckily, you know, Lord willing, I was one of those that didn't, you know, I didn't have the you know, that wearable device or whatever it was. You know, I was still, you know, pretty old fashioned, cash and stuff like that. And there was other people like that, you know, and I remember in the dream, again, out of nowhere, you know, martial law troops is the best way I can put it. There were probably UN troops, um, rushing in everywhere, you know. It was like some scene straight out of a movie. You know, you had all these different, because I'm trying to remember if they spoke English or not. Well, yeah, they did speak English, so they were probably just regular martial law troops or whatever. I don't know. Because I remember, because they were asking people, you know, because it was basically time to get that C hip, you know, the actual charagma, you know, the thing inserted. You know, it was time. You know, so out of nowhere, you know, you had these martial law troops just rushing into the store and asking everyone, did you take the C hip? Are you going to take the C hip? You know, just asking questions like that. And you had some people that were with it. Again, the majority of the people were with it, and of course you had those that weren't. And you know, I remember they just started, the people that rebelled, man, they just started mowing them down. You know, or basically starting. Some people got mowed down. Some people got what do you call it? You know, basically hit with the you know, the butt of the rifles and stuff like that. You know, some people got exterminated on spot, and some people they, you know, because you know, they rounded everyone up. You know, I remember them just rounding people up, rounding everyone up in the middle of the store. You know, asking, did you take the C hip, or are you going to take the C hip? You know, stuff like that. And then, like I said, you had those that did, but you had those that didn't. You know, and that's why I read this here again in the second Ezra 9 and 20. It says, "So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that will come into it." All right, because, you know, like I said, when that MOTB gets mandated, man, hey, it's really gonna be bad. You know, this is gonna be a time of martial law and just total chaos. You know, just total chaos. And going back to how I was mentioning with just again my personal opinion on how, because something's gonna happen to where um what I think, you know, with all these banks collapsing, and you got all the countries, because I think it's pretty much official now. Saudi Arabia is, you know, they want to do away with the dollar. They want to, you know, do deals away from the dollar and to sell that oil and whatnot. So it's just a matter of time where when we see a hyperinflation over here in the States and things of that nature, and you know, something's going to happen to where either the dollar just completely collapsing, or the banks, something's going to happen. All right. And again, I'm speaking as a man, but because anything can happen between now and whenever they want to officially launch that Fed now. All right. Which I think they said July. Anything can happen between now and then. So something could happen, and you know, for a while, for weeks, maybe months, you know, we might just see protests, riots, you know, due to hyperinflation or whatever. All right, and then, you know, they just out of nowhere come out with the C hip. Like I said, however they present it, however they wrap it up, whatever they want to call it. Nevertheless, that's why I think that though you know, whenever they come up with these CBDCs, man, that to me, it could very well be the MOTB. You know, and that's going to be the solution. Again, so he's going to create the problem so that he can come with the solution. All right. And there's already going to be protests, riots, you know, but with that, you're probably going to have even more kickback. And, you know, again, it's going to justify the martial law. All right. It's going to justify them bringing in the order, you know. You see, so that's what I remember in the dream. You know, it was just another day, you know, business as usual, and out of nowhere, all these martial law troops come swarming in and pointing guns at people, lining people up, you know, asking, you want to take that C-hip? Are you going to take the C-hip? People getting shot, all right? People getting beat up, out of nowhere, And from there you had, again, you know, people rebelling and, because like I said, it was like some shit straight out of a movie because, it was total chaos, It's not like everyone just because like I said, you got all these martial law guys just coming through. And no, man, of course you're going to have those that rebel and they say the hell with that. And, some are going to escape and whatever, people, because that's what happened in the dream. People, they banded together, and, there were shootouts. You could hear it in the streets. Like I said, all this happened at the drop of a dime. All this happened all of a sudden. It came out of nowhere, It's just like one big adrenaline rush, 1 minute is business as usual. Then the next minute is just total chaos and people shooting at the military, military shooting back, all right? People trying to figure out what the hell is going on, right? People screaming, or like I said, I don't remember in detail, but on the same note, it was pretty vivid, and it's just like everyone's running around like a chicken with its head cut off. But I was pretty calm because, to those of us in the know, that day's not going to catch us as a thief in the night. We're expecting this, So in my mind, I was like, oh shit, it's happening, That's what I remember. But I'm gonna get this on this to be too long. Like I said, over the weeks, man, I've been getting these pretty vivid dreams, but this one pertaining to the MOTB, right? And it's crazy because I also remember in the dream. Now you know how dreams work, You know how dreams can be sometimes. It can be a total mess. Because I remember in the dream, because like I said, everyone was lined up and stuff, asking, "You gonna take that C-hip? Did you take it? Are you gonna take it right here, right now?" And people were taking it, and hey, they were pretty much set free, and they went back to shopping. Believe it or not, in the dream, I remember that. Those that took the C-hip, they actually went back and went back to shopping in the midst of all the chaos. I remember that, but that's why I say, how dreams can be sometimes. It's just it was crazy. But I'm gonna get this in Luke chapter 19. Luke chapter 19. So Luke chapter 19, verse 43. Now this was pertaining to before the siege of Jerusalem. All right. Prior to 70 AD. All right. Yahushua warned Jake of what was going to happen. That was pretty much a form of Jacob's trouble back then. All right. And Yahushua warned him what was going to happen. And you can apply it into the times that we're living in right now because, hey, there's a siege coming. All right. There's another siege, and this will be the official Jacob's trouble because, like I said, you pretty much had different forms of Jacob's trouble in the past, but the times that we're coming into right now, this will be the Jacob's trouble that you read about in Jeremiah 37, also pursuant with Daniel 12:1. But I'm gonna read this in Luke 19 and 43. For the day shall come upon thee that thine enemy shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee in on every side. So that's a siege. All right, and that's what we're going to see here. They've been talking about these 15-minute cities, which is going on in China. Because hey, there's a new one. Lord willing, I'm planning on doing a video on it if I get around to it, if the spirit permits, about this. Because they've been calling this the year of the poly crisis. All right, there's basically another boogeyman out there. That the CDC wants the people to be concerned. They're raising the awareness, I'll say. You see, because they want to put it out there, just in case just in case, we got to shut things back down. We want you guys to be aware, it's one of those type of things. Um, you see, that could be justifications for lockdowns. All right. And again, hey, something's going to happen to where people are going to rebel. All right. You might have it to where you have these pestilences spreading or whatever, man. But something's going to happen to where it's going to justify them in shutting things down. And it's going to cause people to act out. And that's going to bring in the martial law. All right. And hey, with that being said, hey, that MOTB somehow, in some way, shape, form, or fashion is going to be presented. All right. And that's why I just wanted to look into this word real quick. The word for trench. The word for trench, it goes back to the
Strong's G 5482. Kharaks.
That Karax, man. That you read about in Revelation 13:16. All right, the M-A-R-K. All right, the Karagma. Well, when you go to Revelation, let me just go to it real quick. Because it's the same word. It's the same root word. So Revelation 13:16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive. M-A-R-K. I just, got to spell it out because, YouTube now, they'll clip the video if you mention the word. So it says it's to receive a M-A-R-K in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. Now, when you go to the word, to the word, the root word of the root word, right?
Strong's G 5480. Kharagma.
So you got the karagma, right? But when you go to the root word of karagma, because just a quick, just a real quick briefing and rundown, the karagma is the actual thing, that the device that they're going to implant under the skin. All right. But when you go to the karax, the root word of karagma, which is karax, as we just read.
Strong's G 5482. Kharaks.
And again, just a quick brief rundown. Like I said, you got the karagma, which is the actual implant device, but you got the karax, which is basically the instrument that's going to be used in delivering the karax. Is basically the delivery system, the syringe. All right. But nevertheless, it's the same word that you read about that I just read in Luke chapter 19. All right. Going back to that trench. All right. Because, hey, that's what Esau, hey, he's going to, shut things down. He's going to pretty much gather up all the people to these different places, right? These camps, right? I won't put it past these devils if they actually go, traveling from city to city, neighborhood to neighborhood, because this is why they want to, this is why they've been cutting, basically taking everyone out the farmland and stuffing them in these suburban, the city areas or whatnot, stuffing them in these apartments like sardines, because it's more easier to control. It's easier to track, trace. You know where everyone's at. All right, so that way, their job can be easier, a little easier, somewhat easier when they come through, when they pull up, and get the mass majority of the people to take that karagma, man. It'll be easier, But hey, like in the dream, man. Hey, they came through. They even though they came through, hey, you still have people running away and escaping, coming back to get guns and fight, shootouts and things of that nature. that's what's going to take place in real life, man. You know, he's going to get a lot of kickback. And he knows this. He knows this. This is why they've been plotting, planning. You know, the different, you know, these different exercises throughout these different cities. They got the cities mapped out. You know, they got the air game on lock, the you know, underground game on lock. They've been waiting for this, man. They've been planning for this because they know they're gonna get a lot of kickback. You know, they know they're gonna get a lot of kickback, but you know, this is what Esau. This is what he's trying to do, man. He's trying to siege us up, take over the you know, the food supply, right? You know, the agriculture, everything, so that when things do get bad, everyone's gonna have to go to him. All right, in order to basically prolong your life a little longer, because that's what you're gonna do. You know, if you take that MOTB, man, you're just going to prolong your life a little longer. All right, because yeah, you might get by with Esau, but you're not gonna get by. You're not gonna escape Yahweh Shema Shai. You're not gonna escape his judgment. So you're just gonna prolong your life a little longer, maybe for an extra meal or whatever, man. You know, but this is what I remember in the dream, you know, just out of nowhere, you know, them coming through with that sea hip. And then all hell broke loose. It was chaos, right? You know, I remember pretty vividly, man. It's just all hell just broke loose, man. It was crazy. I'm trying to get away, and you know, people coming after me and shit. I remember vividly. It's coming back more and more. I'm telling you, it was like some shit straight out of an action movie, and it's gonna be like that for real, man. It's gonna be a real adrenaline rush, you know. That's why the scriptures talk about being as pilgrims, man. Some of us are gonna be constantly on the move, constantly on the go, narrowly escaping danger, narrowly escaping martial law troops, all type of stuff, you know. But Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise to Yahweh Shema Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Shema Shai, bring a thumb to your hopeful elect. Lord willing, until next time, Shalom.